Okay, welcome again, everybody who's here. I want to thank everyone who took your time to weigh in on this discussion today. So this discussion is on the larger Telegram group. So as probably everybody here knows, we have this, and hopefully you can see it on my screen, we have this large, over 15,000 people at this time, Vetter Telegram group that we actually turned off in terms of interaction. And the main reason that decision was made was there were a lot of people being scammed. People would come in, and this is common in the industry. This is extremely common, and particularly in Telegram groups, but also crypto-related social media groups across the board, Facebook. I'm sure it also happens in Discord, although maybe less because there's a lot more security in there to get in and stuff. But it happens all over the place with every crypto related company that has a social media site. People will come in and pretend to be moderators. They'll take their picture. They'll pretend to be them. They might even be helpful. And then, in that process of helping somebody, they'll say, hey, click here and connect your wallet. And then they'll empty that person's wallet, things like that. And so for that reason, that had always been a risk, and that had always happened all across the crypto sphere. So it wasn't something that we felt that we needed to address beyond warning people and doing the typical standard things that people do, to try to warn people and educate people on that. However, it got to the point where it just became ridiculous. There was one day in particular, which is when we turned this larger group off, where one person after another was getting huge amounts of Vetter stolen from their account and then sold on the open market, which now it wasn't just hurting the individuals that got scammed, but now it was hurting everybody. And it was becoming pretty dramatic and pretty just ridiculous to the scale that it become. So we decided to turn that off for that reason and assess. And during that assessment period, of course, I'm just giving everyone kind of a recap. It was decided that we would create this other Telegram group called Telegram Support and make sure that people had to indicate to us that they understood how not to get scammed. I'm trying to pull it up right now, how not to get scammed. And of course, this is a smaller one, 1,288 people in here right now at this time. And we decided to really make the focus of this group around support, which is why we called it Better Support, as we determined what we were going to do with the larger one. And so as it stands right now, we're going to want to get your guys' input on this. We want this to be, really a community decision. And this is like a discussion to find out, does everyone kind of agree on how we might move forward in opening it up? Does everyone agree we should open it up? My opinion is we open it up, but if an overwhelming number of people don't want to open it up, then then we wouldn't open it up. Like, those that showed up here today get to weigh in on this, and as a community we'll decide. Just to kick this off, I'll say a few things, and then Robin and Jeremy and Phyllis can chime in, and then we'll open it up to everybody who's here today to weigh in on this. My personal opinion is we should open it up, the larger group, but make sure that we have really clear rules in place about what the purpose of the group is. I know there are some people out there, particularly, people that were part of the early release of Vetter, who are most of them that I'm referring to now, they're just for the short term, that really see projects as hype coins, whether there's real utility or not. They're just looking at it as kind of a hype coin situation. And that's actually a term that's often used with a certain type of project, hype coin, where there's a lot of hype. And in those cases, I would say even most projects that launch on the Binance Smart Chain in particular, and it's not only on the Binance Smart Chain, but in particular on the Binance Smart Chain, are hype coins, meaning there's really no substance intended. There's really no utility, even if one is discussed, there's no utility intended. And so that's created this culture and this expectation of the type of marketing, the type of things that should be done in order to launch and sustain the momentum of an early project. You know, we've always made it really clear that we certainly didn't want to be a hype coin. And while there are elements of hype that come into the culture of an early launch, there's a lot of excitement and a lot of people get involved that do a lot of the things and that, you know, that you would typically see in a hype coin. It wasn't what we wanted our culture to end up being. It was really about creating utility. And of course, we've launched the dApp. So when people were upset that we closed it down, I mean, first of all, some of the people that were probably loudest may have been the scammers themselves, because they were making a lot of money scamming people left and right in our community, stealing their Vetter and selling it on the open market. So we had to take that kind of input, especially the emotionally charged input, with a grain of salt, because those could have been the perpetrators of the scams. But obviously there were other people that weighed in and didn't understand or thought, well, we need this Telegram group in order to create momentum and excitement. And that's the case with hype coins for sure. But I just want to point out that there are a lot of very successful projects that are far more successful, you know, than just about any BSC project, you know, that don't have Telegram groups at all. They're typically not on the BSC because BSC is used to this culture, the hype coin culture. But I just want to point out that you don't need a Telegram group at all to be wildly successful. You know, I was just mentioning to Jeremy and Robin a few minutes ago, IMX, which is a brand new project, granted a huge project, a project with immense investment behind it. But they don't, they have a Discord group, they have community involvement, they have a Twitter account, but they don't have a Telegram group, at least not one that I could find on their website. Maybe somebody can correct me if I just missed it. But there are other projects as well that don't have Telegram groups. And that was one that I just looked up really quick and couldn't find a Telegram group. And they're right now at about a $700 million market cap. And a lot of people believe they'll 10X or more this year. You know, it would put them over 7 billion market cap. And again, they're not the only example. There are so many projects that don't have Telegram groups. Now, I would like to have Telegram groups. There's a reason why a lot of people are using Telegram groups, for people to come together and to create excitement and to discuss and do things. But all I want to say, and then I'm going to pass this on, is, you know, if we open it up, and I do vote that we open it up, but if we open it up, the larger Telegram group, not the support one, but the you know, the larger one, I'll pull it up again here, over 15,000 members, you know, that we have really clear rules and guidelines established so people understand the function, like how we're using the group, how not to use the group. If anyone violates the terms, maybe they get a warning, unless it's just really drastic. You know, if someone's just cussing and cursing profanity, obviously we would just remove them without a warning. But if, you know, someone just maybe, you know, starts using the group in a way it wasn't intended, and again, those are things that we got to figure out, then they would be warned. If they did it again, then they would be muted. If it was something really severe, which I think needs to be outlined, then they could be banned from the group, obviously, because you don't want things disrupting, you know, the purpose and the function of the group. Now, some people might want to see a free-for-all, like freedom of speech. Well, you know, if we set up guidelines and rules for those attending a meeting in a town hall or anywhere else, people do get thrown out if they violate those rules. And that is part of a freedom of speech framework. You don't have to be in that town hall meeting. You don't have to be in this particular Telegram group. There are rules and guidelines. I think if we set up really clear rules and guidelines to structure an environment that allows for positive, constructive collaboration, I'm just going to propose that the purpose of the group would be to discuss projects that are posted on the Vetter calendar. We could give more details of what that framework is, but that would be the main purpose of the group. And I would propose that it not be a place for people to you know, perpetuate the typical types of things that you see with hype coins. Just constant memes. You know, sometimes people just post one meme after another, sometimes obnoxious memes. I know there's a time and place for that. I have fun with memes as much as anybody else, and seeing them sometimes they crack me up. But I would just propose, and again, I'm not going to be the only one making this decision. Like, the community gets to make this decision, but I would propose that we continue maintaining a really constructive culture to set ourselves apart and to actually have the group be useful, and have it be a place where people can rally around the Vetter calendar, the dApp calendar, and discuss projects they posted or that they're seeing there, and to get value out of it. We could also have AMAs and so forth, from time to time about these, how to use the dApp and these kinds of things. So that's how I propose we use it. I know more needs to be discussed, but just in general, I think we should open it up. I think we should have bot commands, because in all kinds of things, when people enter the group, that are really well thought out to make sure that we know that people know how not to get scammed. Maybe they got to answer some questions, it might be a little bit more hoops to jump through than you typically see. But I have seen some really good put together Telegram groups that had quite a few hoops to jump through. So that's not all that new. Just to make sure that people know the rules, the guidelines of the group, what the purpose of the group is for, and then also know how not to get scammed. And so I think if we do those things, it'll be a constructive place for everyone to collaborate and be very useful. And that's my 2 cents anyway. And I'll pass it over to you, Robin, Jeremy, and Phyllis.
Yeah, I just really briefly, my vision, which of course can be very different than what ends up being, but my vision for it would be to have those in the community who love and support and believe in the project, to oversee the efficacy, the standards, as Mike said, the purpose or intention of the group itself. And a lot of people have asked me, like, well, is there a group where we can talk about hot projects or failing projects or potential rug pulls instead of having to be in the Discord? Can we use one of the Telegram groups to discuss cool projects? And, we can leave it, of course, up to the community to maintain the integrity of that. If we create standards like being able to discuss projects that are launching on the dApp, or, projects that are, coming alive after the 30-day mark, and people are really excited and want to talk about it in the Telegram group. So, obviously, it will require, beyond moderators, it will require, just to uphold that integrity in the group and the community, which requires those in the community to uphold those standards. So moving into the conversation of the DAO more and more each day, that's kind of how I see it. So I'm advocating equally as Mike has, in terms of creating a intention, like a mission statement, a list of standards, maybe a couple bullet points of no porn allowed, no certain things that are no-nos. And then those in the community would have access to bot commands to be able to assist in supporting and maintaining that, of course. And we can still have, a handful of moderators overall to oversee, but it wouldn't be like a control freak kind of show, not a control show. So hopefully that makes sense. That's what I'm advocating for. Jeremy.
Yeah, so I'll lend my vote towards I think we should open it up as well. I do agree that moving more towards the, freedom of speech within limits is a good idea. Not having it overly moderated, but having people in the community who care about the token and the project, have them have the ability to kind of keep people who go out of line in check. So not a lot to add. I think you guys covered it really good. So Phyllis, did you have anything you want to say?
Actually, not to add, because I think you guys covered it, but I just wanted to just overly stress that, having the community involved with, within the group itself, I definitely want to open it up too. I think it's needed. And I think there's a lot of value there. I think that we can bring a lot of value, but I also think the community can bring a lot of value to it as well. I'm with Mike, with the clear set of roles. And I don't know whether, I'm not the guru on Telegram, but I'm sure that we could, do something where, as they check in, they could, click off on the rules or whatever. We can make it so that people, really understand what the rules are, and that we all understand what the rules are as a community. And I think we all need to stick together as well in regards to, how we want this community to be treated. Do we want it to look like some of those other tokens out there where I can't even go in because I just can't even, I can't even be in there because it's really just not a healthy environment. And I think if we all can commit, to high standards, I think the community bots is a great idea. I think that not micromanaging it is also a great idea. However, I really believe that the community has to be really, really committed to be able to kind of be solution oriented and not jumping on a bandwagon, so to speak. So when we see things that are inappropriate, there's a way of handling it. And I think if we all do that, we can have a really amazing community. And I think that, I do see large AMAs happening for sure. I mean, I see people, really, promoting, what projects that are out there and people to make some very significant money that way. And I think that there has to be an agreement, between the community that's in there, us who are basically the stakeholders. I would call us the stakeholders of the community. And if we can all commit to that, I think we can have ourselves an incredible 100,000 member group, going forward. So that's my nickel.
Awesome. Thanks, Phyllis.
Cool. Yeah, it feels good. Well, I see a bunch of hands up, and I don't want everyone talking over each other. So maybe I'll just unmute, or what do you think? I think everyone can see from top to bottom in terms of like Jesse, George, Evan, Waylon.
They may not see the same order as you do. They might. I'm not so sure about that, but
I'll just go one by one.
Yeah, Robin, just unmute those with their hands up.
I'm gonna go Jesse, George, and then Evan, Waylon, CRW, Dawn, and then Red Eye. Hey, Justin. Okay, so let me, Jesse.
Hello, guys. Can you hear me? First
You're
off, I want to
a little
say I
choppy.
believe.
Sorry, go ahead.
I believe in the project 100%, but I 100% disagree with you about opening up the Telegram right now. I see a couple issues right now. We've got in the voting people posting projects that have already launched. There's like a certain group of people, and I think we need to deal with that because they ran themselves up to purple in a couple days by posting successful projects that have already launched. And we don't need people seeing that and going, well, let's do that, right? That kind of defeats the whole integrity of the project. So I think that we should wait until the voting group decides what to do with them. I personally think they should all be blacklisted. They've all changed the names that they originally posted on, so they know they're doing wrong, right? So I think like there's a voter talk tomorrow where we can get into it more. And then secondly, with what happened last month with the royalty reflections not being paid to the people who met the criteria and then got dropped down for whatever reason. I picked a couple rug pulls. It happened to me twice. And then not getting made whole on that is an issue that I don't think we want the general public to be involved in. So we have a couple catalysts coming up. We have the next reflection, and then the, I can't even remember what it's called now, stabilizer pool coming. I think we should wait until those have passed, because if there's not successful and if there is a problem, I don't think that we need that kind of FUD going on again, like last month, where people who put in the time, they put in the effort, were told on the call on the 18th that they were going to get the tokens, and then we didn't get the tokens and all we got was, unfortunately, we had a issue with the code. That's fine. There's going to be problems with the code. But my personal opinion is that you guys should have like committed to your obligation and airdrop the tokens to the group that got ousted, basically. And I don't want to see that happen again. Like, yes, you're saying if you make it green this next time, you're going to get it. But are we? Is there going to be a problem? I think we should have those settled before we open up. And that's all I have to say. Thanks for listening.
I just first want to say there's always going to be a problem. Like, and, you know, there's always going to be something, you know, we're dealing with technology and I don't know anything that's perfect.
I think he acknowledged that. And
Yeah.
I think
I mean, Elon Musk is a great example.
The point's well taken. I mean, basically, you know, what I heard, you know, in broad strokes is let's get through some of these early events, you know, before opening it up, because this is brand new and there was so much built into this, and there's been bumps along the way. And Robin, you know, and you're acknowledging, and I think he did too, that that's pretty normal. But he's just saying maybe we should wait till we get past like the next these next events that he named before opening it up, just to make sure everything goes smoothly. We certainly think that they will, but you know, point well taken.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I just think from a leadership perspective of leading communities, you know, you can't, no, not everyone will feel satisfied or like they're being heard or listened to. And I think overall it's like what I've been hearing and feeling is like giving people an opportunity to communicate and expecting that there's going to be backlash, but not taking it personally and not taking it as a negative, and trusting that those who believe in the project will adhere to it. You know, I feel the benefit outweighs the negative, because there's always going to be, like, even if you're perfect, like, even if it, like, you know, when we were at a 45X, people were still complaining like that they couldn't get in fast enough. It's like, there's always going to be people who don't win. So I would disagree in terms of putting it off. I'd like, personally would like to see the momentum going sooner than waiting, because there's always going to be something, but that's just how I feel.
Let's go ahead and open this up to the next person with their hand up.
George.
George is here. How you guys doing?
Hey, George.
Hi, George.
Interesting conversation. Hey, I think I agree with what you're saying about opening back up. For some strange reason, right before Christmas, when everybody was kind of shutting down, I began to be more dedicated to reading the Vetter support dialogue, and I don't know whether it's because of the holidays. There was some weird stuff in there. There were some people grapping and bitching and complaining, and obviously didn't even know what they were talking about. Even to the point that a time or two, I decided I would chime in and stand the ground and support and say, and it would clean itself up pretty quickly. That began to make me think we probably need a place. Right now, the old group with so many was called the official group. I'm not sure that's the good name for it. I'd almost call it the Wild Wild West, or the Mike, you came up, I think, with the dump truck over in the tribe at one point.
Right.
In other words, a place where people, what I did notice in all those comments, even the worst of the comments inside the support group, was that many of them just were ticked off because they didn't feel like there was a place to express what they wanted to express.
Right.
And be moderated and pull back and not get out of hand. But back when we first were doing all this, Mike, and you were teaching us how you would first go and you did some exercises where you took some of the earlier ones and said, first I look at the website, bingo, if it looks pretty good, I go on. If it looks bad, I go to the next project. Next, I go to Telegram and I look at the number and try to figure out if it's growing. And with that one criteria, and I realize this is all launched and we're way past that. But like you said, when you open, Mike, there's a lot of people that are still thinking the old way of doing things. And I think when they see 1,000 people, under the old vetting rules, I would have gone and saw 1,000 people before it launched and said, next, versus seeing 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 16,000, I would have said that's a good project and then gone on to the next criteria, utility or whatever. So I think we've got a lot of people out there that came in and helped us at the beginning. And I don't think a lot of them know how to even connect back with the group. And I think a lot of people are going to judge the group by how big the Telegram group is. But I agree with Jesse. We really need to distinguish between the serious group and the Wild Wild West. Jump on in and kind of say what you want. But you're not the real guys. Or
You're bringing up an interesting point, which is part of audience perspective. And George, this is something interesting that we can talk about, which is the perception from a new investor versus the perception from those who are in it and have been in it and are using it.
And if we're clear that this group is for the real investor and this group is for everybody, I think everybody would figure that out and it would answer a lot of needs for a lot of different groups. And
so am I hearing you correct that you feel that
I think we have to have a big group for the crowd.
so you're advocating to open it up?
I do. And I've read every post for the last 3 or 4 weeks in the support group. And I see that kind of come and go. I don't know whether it's self-correcting, but it'll start off in that left field direction for a moment. And then a few people will say something and it pulls itself right back to real questions about real support, which is what it's intended for. It's almost self-correcting. Maybe there's some good moderators that are doing that. I'm not sure how that's working, but it doesn't get too far out in left field before it self-corrects. I don't think the big group could ever self-correct. I think it'll be a place where it'll go crazy, but let's just call it that at the beginning. So someone that gets there doesn't think that represents who we are particularly.
Are you, like, I don't want to use the word committing, but are you advocating that you'll do what you can to help maintain the integrity of the group if and when we were to open it?
Yeah, I will, but I don't know that anyone, when you put 16,000 people in there, I don't know that anyone has the time to sit and read all of it. But yeah, I would, as a protection for the whole thing. I think many of us should check in there, once a day or something and just see what direction that thing's headed. Because what I found is just a couple of favorable comments without any, I've tried it where I was a little chastising. That doesn't work too well. But if you're just a positive comment in the middle of the thing, it turns its direction real quickly and goes right back to getting back to business and being supportive and being positive. So yeah, I think that's an obligation all of us should want to see that group go. But I fully support that. I think we have to have a place for the masses to tap in and then take them on down that funnel to the big group, better group, and then right on in.
Cool. Yeah, I think standards and kind of guidelines. And
if I understand how you guys are thinking of using the support group and why we cleaned it up, if you're dropping, prospects that have found us through your marketing, we don't want them to drop over into that 16,000 group of people that are just complaining and, wagging on and on. We want them over in the serious side of it, where they see they're going to get the support.
So you're saying the smaller group would lead it
between the two groups for sure.
There's just a little bit of discrepancy in terms of like the visual of the higher number attracting new investors, but at the same time, you're saying the smaller group is supporting new investors.
Yeah,
so that's.
I think a new investor. Okay, I see that group and that's 16,000. That's Wild Wild West. That's crypto. But here's the real people that are.
Okay, so you're saying to introduce kind of both scenarios where people can understand the difference. Okay, awesome, George.
And I think we need to be real clear about how we, that group is really the Wild Wild West, the dump truck or the whatever. It's kind of not as controlled.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. It's just
Good.
from an onset, that's the challenge in terms of it, yeah.
Well, I think what I hear you saying, George, is to rename the group and
Yeah.
instead of call the one support, call it official, and call the bigger group something other than official.
Right now we're calling the Wild Wild West official. We need to get that off of there and come up with a dump truck or Wild Wild, whatever is a name. I know we got great marketing people in this group.
Thanks, George.
Yeah.
Keep sharing with us, and we appreciate it.
Great job. We're on the right track.
Thanks, George. Really helpful. Thanks.
Red Eye, I'm trying to unmute you, and it looks like you don't have audio, Justin. I'm trying to merge with audio. Oh, okay. You're on your phone. I'm gonna see if you can unmute yourself now. Red Eye Jedi. I don't know if it will let you unmute yourself. So you're on your phone. Justin. Yeah.
By the way, if anyone ever hears that somebody was trying to get into this session and couldn't because it was full, let us know, because it should be allowing 500 participants, but I see it's like stuck at 100, which I don't know if that's just a coincidence or it's just only letting in 100. It should be letting in 500. So let me know if you guys hear that.
Okay, am I unmuted now?
Okay. Yeah, got it.
Okay, perfect. This is Red Eye Jedi, and I had a few thoughts if I can ramble.
Yeah, go ahead. Thanks.
Okay, great. I am a very big fan of Telegram because it's such a large community, and that's where most of my projects live. I feel like it's ideal to support our growth if we can reduce the scam attacks. The real problem is Telegram does not care about eliminating scammers. I've reported many a scammer and was in a scam anti-scam group a couple years ago that we were very effective, but we had to work outside of the system essentially. Seems like they might actually like the traffic to boost their app in the App Store. They don't want to boot anyone for any reason, so it's up to us. We had 16,000 people in the unsecure room and only 1,000 joined the new secure support room. Most of our coin holders are still with us though, 10,000 about. They didn't leave, so I'm not sure why most of them were unwilling or unable to join the secure room. Maybe fear of clicking a link to a web page. It's a mystery to me. I do like our secure room approach. Despite the fact that only a small portion of our people joined, I think it was the right move, and it is effective. It does work with our smaller community. I think that we should try to improve the larger room and open it back up for a short-term solution. I was thinking about bot admins, and I agree with you, Mike, with what you were referring to with bots helping us get people in. I don't know if this is a good idea or not. I'm kind of just spitballing, but one idea was to have no moderators and just have bots be the moderators in that room. And that way, like, make it clear to people that there's no human moderators in this room. So anyone that's contacting you is a scam. Although my favorite suggestion is probably George's idea to rename the rooms to be clear that the support room is the real room with actual moderators, that it's scam proof, and we don't have that issue it's the opposite in the main room. However, here's my main idea. The ideal long-term solution might be if we can't get Telegram to do what we want, if we try it and it's a good faith effort and it's just the scammers are just too pervasive. In that event, we could add a chat page to the app, and this would leverage our security system using blockchain, where it would respect the tier system You could have 4 different rooms, one for each tier, and some diamond rooms if you wanted. If direct messaging is added one day and one user tries to scam another, their wallet address is apparent to us and we can ban that address from the app. So it's very easy. We don't want to be policing these things, but it would be very easy for us to do it within the app as a future addition, not something that we would do now, but in the coming months, if Jeremy had the bandwidth, that might be something that we could look at. And finally,
can we pause there just to make sure that I understand that fully?
Yeah. Sure.
So are you saying like that kind of a internal chat support mechanism in place of Telegram?
Possibly sure. Yeah. Ideally, our chat would all be on the website in the family, all within our secure roof.
Gotcha.
And
Got
yeah, and all you would need is really a wallet address to connect to get in there, and then we can ID you. And if you do anything wrong, we don't have to ask Telegram and beg them because we know they're not going to help. We can just take action ourselves.
So Jeremy, would that be a separate dApp? It's almost like another thing to go on the, the dApp tools list. It sounds like that would be a separate dApp though, or no?
Or a separate page.
No, it wouldn't have to be a separate dApp. It would just be part of the existing one.
Where it would allow like basically Telegram-like communication, but we know everyone's wallet address.
Yeah, it would be an extension to the existing messaging system, as well as allowing for Telegram-like communications. It's not like a super simple thing to do, but it's possible to add to the application at some point.
I initially loved that idea too early on. Yeah.
Has anyone ever seen a Telegram like dApp? It's something that is on the blockchain like that. I'm assuming there are, but they're not. I'm not finding them being used much.
There are some that are.
Go ahead.
I can't remember what the name of it is offhand, but there is one that is supposed to be. So there's
Zion.
email ones. There's also Telegram-like ones. They don't get a lot of play because you got to pay gas for every single message that you send.
I see.
But
would that be the case within our framework?
I mean, if we did that part of it on the blockchain, but you wouldn't have to. You could just do the messaging part of it in the database, and then there would not be gas for every message.
And we would still know like the wallet address of the person who maybe scammed somebody, that kind of thing?
Correct. They would have to be logged in. You'd know their tier. You'd know their wallet address.
Right. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Very cool. Yeah, go ahead and continue. I just wanted to make sure I understood that fully.
Awesome. If we were able to integrate it into Telegram, that would really be something. The only example of that I am familiar with, there was an engine game last year, ENJIN, engine game coin game that was framing out a system that would look at your wallet and see what NFTs you had and let you battle other people in Telegram rooms via text prompts. So there is another team that figured out how to do that, but they never did finish that game. So it might be a difficult process.
Right. But it gives us a lot to think about for sure. I hadn't really ever thought about an internal communication place, but that is, for some reason, it's never came to mind, but that is something to consider for sure.
Awesome. Well, I'm happy to hear that. And just want to throw in that of all the projects that I've participated in the last 5 years, no one has made any progress tackling scam issues. And like with our secure room, we're already way ahead of where other projects have been able to get to. So I think it's a really good faith effort. And if we can use the blockchain in our own app to vet our own people and eliminate scammers on site, that might be the ideal long term. But I love Telegram for the short term if we can improve it a little bit.
Right. Well, thanks a lot for your input. Appreciate it. It's great.
Thanks, Mike. And Robin. Bye.
Thank
And Jeremy.
you. Thank you. Yeah, really appreciate that. I just want to say there's some other people who are in the chat saying, Kevin says, I vote to open it. Nadell says, should be a good thing. Robert says, open it. Christine says, open it. Cesar, opening it. Nadell, open it. So I haven't heard anything outside of that. Let me go to Evan. Hey, Evan, let me unmute you here.
Hey guys.
Hey, Evan, go ahead.
So I think everybody's covered most of the points that I wanted to. I'm in favor of opening up the main Telegram group. I do think we need to just adjust the naming conventions and kind of maybe consolidate or just tighten that up, because I feel like everything else is pretty tight. The dApp is awesome, but the Telegram is not really cohesive in the different places you could go for information. So I think that's an easy improvement. And I just wanted to share, I think the thing that the community at large doesn't have, unless you're in Discord, is the really focused chat around projects. So for me, the biggest wins I've had have actually come from just plugging into the insider chat or different chats at different points, and I'll catch something that wasn't on my radar, either for timing or just something that I was totally unaware of. So it may be on a calendar, but it's a way to highlight projects. And I think when you see a stream of people having great results talking about the next big thing, that will self-correct a lot of the, win whatever comments that come in from all the hype people. But I feel like that's something that we could open up, because it's another tool for the community that lets them win, because that's what the platform's about. I mean, it's just one more leg of the infrastructure that helps people win. And I think open communication has to be there with limited moderation for any type of DAO concept. So I won't rehash any of the other points. I think everybody else made some great ones that I agree with.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for that. Can you repeat the first item that you mentioned again about tightening up?
So if I am on my Telegram, I see maybe 4 places I could go to get better information, or maybe it's Tribe 100X, but we've got the main group, which is labeled official. I do think that should be renamed to maybe open chat or open community chat,
Right.
something like that. And
Right.
just the naming convention helps frame the conversation and expectation.
Right. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah, I was thinking open discussion or something like that. And you just said
Right.
open chat, same thing. So yeah, we're on the same wavelength there. George had mentioned Wild West. I think that might be in the description in some way, when people are kind of assessing which group they want to focus on. We'll explain that it's less moderated. Anything can kind of come up there.
I like open forum. Yeah.
Something like that.
And I just want to reiterate, because a couple people in the chat now here are saying, it might not be so good or safe to open it. But Evan, what you're articulating that I want the community to hear is you're saying a lot of people who aren't in Discord aren't quite getting that raw feeling of like, ooh, a project on the calendar that is doing super well that I in this moment I ape into and do a huge win. Is that what you're saying? That there's like kind of like a timeliness?
Yeah, there's a timeliness thing. And then there's also this, I want to be able to access the dApp, because I see all of these people. I'm new to this. What calendar are they talking about? I click the link that I can now share in Telegram. How do I get access to it? So I think it's a win-win for the community. And I think the community will have to be self-correcting. There's no way to moderate everything. You can do a good job at coaching or redirecting some of the discussion as a community, but I think it's too much for 1 or 2 moderators to try to be on full-time doing.
So you're saying the benefit of having people communicate in real time about exciting projects that they can come in at will in return bring in more investors, more users of the dApp coming in to use the system because they're seeing that excitement.
Definitely.
Okay. Does that, if that doesn't make sense to anybody, or if they disagree, I'd like to hear from you. Thank you, Evan. Waylon, I'm gonna unmute you.
Hey, Robin, can you hear me?
Yeah, you good?
Okay. Hey, this is Big Way. I was just chiming in and giving my input. I would also agree with opening the larger chat room. I was actually one of the first people, right when we launched, it ended up getting scammed. But I was pretty new to the whole scene and didn't really understand it. I listened to an AMA, and we had talked about connecting our wallet to get into a dApp. I didn't fully understand what a dApp was, so I ended up getting caught off guard and scammed. But I think that if we, especially as a community, if we focus anybody that's looking to get instructions on how to purchase, we instruct them into the support channel. And then that way they can get some more trusted support. You know what I mean? If they're having questions about connecting their wallet, or if they're having questions about something else, that we direct them into there so they can watch the videos. They can get access to the clips or the YouTubes. But I do definitely think that there's a huge value to the larger Telegram group, because there's just a lot of people that for some reason can't make their way into our supported channel. Like a lot of my buddies and stuff that we all got on together, only 2 of us are in there. And I've tried to get the other guys to get in, and then they just kind of throw up their hands like it's too hard. I don't really understand why they think it's too hard, but or it's a pain. So I think that having that larger Telegram group and building that momentum will help.
Big quick question on your buddies that didn't get in there. Are they fairly new to crypto, or they're not new?
They're new. So the hardest part.
This has been my concern, is that the people we're trying to protect the most are the toughest to get them to learn what they need to be protected.
Right. And I've had to literally sit down with people for an hour, 2 hours plus, just to get them to, they can get the idea of jumping onto one of these websites and buying crypto. That's an easy process. But when I have to sit down with them and get them to purchase, we'll say, BNB, and then set up their trust account, and then move it over to Trust Wallet, and then hook them up to Pancake, and then swap, and then set them up a MetaMask. I mean, it's a huge learning curve as it is. So they get stuck without my help. So they just get kind of stuck where they're at. So they just sit there in limbo. And I know that they have a hard time even buying. And then they kind of just fell off of the radar from the Telegram, and they don't, jump in anymore, and they don't really know anything about the project. So they're constantly texting me going, what's going on? So I'm like projecting the new things going on with our project via text message, to these guys, so they don't flip out. But yeah, so I think that Telegram group could at least help that portion of it. But you're right, Mike, that's exactly what they're running into. The people that we're trying to protect are having a hard time getting all the way there.
Right. And also, I mean, sometimes we want to help people around us more than they want to help themselves. And
right.
That makes it tough too. But thanks for all of that. Super helpful. All this input has been extremely helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, you guys. Thank you. Appreciate your hard work.
Hey, appreciate you. Thanks. Appreciate that.
CRW, there you go.
Hello, Mike and Robin. Christian here.
Hey, Christian.
Hi there. So I wanted to ask a question around, so it was proposed that using the larger group would be one area to discuss projects. So here's a concern that comes up around that. If new people can come into the bigger group and hear about projects, why would they buy better to get on the dApp? So there could be a concern around if they simply can go in and hear the chatter about projects, they can kind of bypass the purpose of the dApp and buying the better token. So what's your thoughts around that?
I mean, I suppose if it's a success in that the larger group becomes a functioning, constructive place where people are announcing what they posted on the Vetter calendar and why they like it, and there's discussion that's ensued, et cetera, and and rug pull discussions and everything else, if it really is a reflection, if the Telegram group's a reflection of what's happening on the Vetter calendar, then I would almost look at that Telegram group as kind of like a free offer. And there's a lot of people that take advantage of free offers that don't go on and buy the main offer because they feel like they're getting enough value from the free offer or free content. Sometimes it's even a podcast, right? But the person with the podcast might have like an upgraded version that you pay money to get access to. But a lot of people just hang out for the free content, you know, weekend, every week or every day or whatever, maybe never upgrade. But it's been proven time and time again that even though you may have a lot of people gathering around the campfire, so to speak, who don't ever purchase, that it is a really successful model in growing and continually attracting a larger and larger audience. And from that group, a percentage of them do end up buying, or maybe people who didn't buy the first couple of months because they're just hanging out, kind of like you're saying, and benefiting from just gathering what they can from conversations. Eventually they do end up seeing the reason why they may want to go ahead and have access to the entire dApp themselves and the calendar themselves and fully join the party. So that's how I see it. Like, I think you're right. I think there'll be a percentage of people that might just try to garner as much as they can from the chat. But I would think that it would work much like a free offer in that it would grow the audience like free offers are designed to do. And a percentage of people would want to access all of the information and the content. Those that are really struggling financially and so forth, you know, maybe not so much, but they would be missing out on a lot of information and a lot of projects and a lot of the opportunities if they didn't access the dApp. But I think you're right. A lot of people just probably wouldn't anyway. But I think I think it would work like most free offers do, in that it would actually significantly increase the number of purchasers, kind of acting as as a marketing funnel.
Yeah, I could see in an ideal world that it could do that. And certainly, that's a very common practice to have some kind of free offer. You get people in the door, and if the bigger group is opened up and it begins to grow, I mean, it can have that effect. I mean, a little aside question around this would also be, might it be advantageous to have access to the Discord related to how many better you hold? I mean, I know that people pay to be there, but to have it, the tiers on the dApp tied into how you participate in the Discord, and just so there's a clear, consistent kind of way of.
So far, Discord is separate as a membership site, is completely separate from Vetter. It's a project that right now I'm running. It used to be somebody else. I was moderating it, but somebody else was leading it or owning it, I should say. Now I own it, but it's, anyone can set up a Discord and refer to and help organize and refer to Vetter and projects and stuff and build a community around it if they wanted to. In fact, we hope that people do build communities around Vetter, but they're separate entities entirely.
Yeah, and you and I have talked about that before in previous Zooms. And, but I guess, from a point of view as a user of the dApp, I mean, having access to a high quality discussion forum like what is happening in Discord is an extremely important part of it. Like, personally, I don't want to have that discussion on a Telegram group for my purposes. Now, I can see that, as a way of attracting more people into Vetter, that could have the value, but I don't really think that's the right place to have that discussion. I think the high quality discussions are really happening in Discord. So, I mean, I personally think those two should be related, like any
I do
discussion. Yeah, I mean, there's a different level of commitment that people have who go into Discord, who are paying and participating, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do foresee that because of the way Discord's set up and because of the work that went into the organization of Discord, before Vetter, even came about, Discord was set up, the Tribe 100X Discord was set up to have discussions, organized discussions about, all these different projects. And then Vetter now coming into fruition gives us a calendar to be able to look at, but to continue those discussions in the Discord. I agree that the Discord set up in a way where it's higher quality conversations than you're probably ever going to be able to achieve on a Telegram. And again, you know, you or anybody could set up a Discord and, you know, start discussing projects, charging a membership fee if you wanted to. I mean, there's a lot of those out there, and using the Vetter calendar to make it easier to refer to something. So that's how I see the Discord, is just another, you know, separate, but I think a useful collaborative tool that I hope to see more of. You know, I hope to see a lot more projects rallying around the Vetter calendar, you know, because it certainly makes their job easier of being able to know which projects are coming up and when, so they can have discussions in a more highly organized format. But the Telegram group, I agree with you, will probably be much less organized, you know, and it would be free, so it would make sense that it wouldn't be as valuable.
Yeah, and so, you know, in opening up the bigger group, I mean, I think it sounds like everyone agrees that there needs to be really clear rules of engagement, and, you know, however you choose to post that it's really clear to people, you know, what those rules of engagement are, and that there is, you know, some kind of process of a warning, so people know why, you know, why they're being warned, and eventually why they might get banned. So, you know, as long as all of that's set in place and it's really clear, I mean, I think it would be useful for the marketing to open it back up.
Yeah, the way I envisioned it is, if somebody, you know, the guidelines would be established, and in the pin post, if somebody missed them and they posted something completely inappropriate or outside the guidelines, then people who've had kind of a leadership role in the community would be able to enter a bot command, and they would know what that bot command is, to reiterate what the, you know, a message to that person, what the function of the group is, and, you know, and kind of a little warning that if you post something outside of that, or if you're seeing this, it means you posted something outside of that. So I think there would be a bot command that would make it really easy for a lot of people in the community to be able to kind of let people know who, you know, what the purpose of the group is, and kind of get a warning and get them on track without having to type it themselves, you know.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate your reflections on this, and I'll let you guys move on to another question.
Yeah. Thanks for your input.
I've got Cesar, Don, Vijay. Let me go to Cesar.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Hey, Cesar. Yeah, loud and clear. Go ahead.
How's everyone doing?
Doing good.
Good. Yeah, I'm in favor of opening. I think there's more pros than there are cons to not opening it. So I think we should open. My comments around that is, I've been hearing a couple people kind of touch on it already, but I do feel like there's quite a bit of fragmentation in terms of the number of groups that we have. I think that we need to maybe look at how we consolidate some of that, because on Telegram alone, you got Vetter support, Vetter official, tribe announcements, Vetter announcements, and then if you're supporting the platform anyway, you're also in like the admin or the support groups on top of that. I think we could maybe spend some time thinking about how we consolidate a lot of that. The other thing I would probably touch on is also around, bringing some clarity to what the tribe is versus what Vetter is. And Mike, I know we've talked about this a little bit, but I just think there's maybe not enough clarity to the general public or the general Vetter investor as to what is what and how they're separate or how they're linked. I think there's some opportunity to if everything starts moving towards some of the direction that the group's been talking about in terms of more community driven, to kind of relook at some of that and how it's structured. Because the tribe right now, it's our tight knit community where we have these types of discussions, but this also leaves out a lot of veteran investors from having those discussions if they're not if they didn't come through this specific path into the community, right? So I'm not a huge Telegram guy. I really am not crazy about Telegram. To me, it just feels like a very unorganized, just kind of loud, Wild West chat room. For me, I think if you're in a project where there's community build and that's core to what you're trying to do, I love Discord. I'm a big Discord guy. I've helped a couple Discord servers come up, and I know the bots and the tools and the resources that are available there, and the amount of structure you could bring to something. So I'm a big fan of it. I think there's an opportunity with some of the tools that exist to do some auto moderation and almost bot some of the admin side stuff, such as who could see, because you could almost do one Discord community that had everything that you're currently trying to do. It would have an announcement section. It would have an open chat to just people, whoever, right? That's not really heavily modded and not a lot of time invested in it. But through some of the Web3 tools that we have now, you can create some integrations where people can connect a Web3 wallet, and either you set it up to look for a certain amount of Vetter tokens, or it could even be a separate token. It could be an NFT. It could be any kind of identifier that you wanted to build in that had to be in those people's wallet in order to access certain channels that would not even be visible to people who didn't verify their wallets. So you can build in a lot of that into Discord. At the end of the day, you won't truly own Discord. If Discord platform itself decided to ban the community or to shut down or whatever, there's always some risk there. So I get where I can't remember who it was earlier that mentioned kind of building your own social and communication aspects into the Vetter dApp itself is obviously, from a longevity security standpoint, it's obviously the way to go. But yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Discord, so I think there's a lot of opportunity there to really clean that up. And you know, when we do a call separately on this, as we've been talking, you know, I can kind of show you guys some of that stuff. But you can really weed out a lot. And if you're doing it based on wallet authentication through either token holdings or a separate token that's issued for people that are just through the tribe funnel or through, you know, however you wanted to do it, you can control a lot of that. And once you ban a wallet, we know that you really don't want to be transferring your Vetter. So I think it would eliminate a lot of people just getting kicked and going out and creating a new account, because they'd have to transfer that Vetter. So there's some tools there that we can look at. But overall, I'm for opening it up. I'm for getting the momentum going again. I think it's time. I'm for more community driven, community owned. I'm for kind of just allowing the space to grow on its own and course correct, self-moderate, kind of like we mentioned, with some guidelines and some just very basic rule set. But yeah, that's how I see it. And I think there's some further discussions that could be had on parts of all of that I just mentioned. So
Thank you. Yeah, really positive.
Yeah, totally agree, Cesar. Just real quick, I agree with you on everything with Discord. There does seem to be like a technology challenge for a lot of people. Even though it seems easy to those of us who've used Discord, when I first got into Discord, it was intimidating, and now that's funny because it's almost, you know, just completely intuitive. But there did seem to be this, and there does seem to be this like bigger gap for a lot of people to get over to
Well,
use.
there's just a lot going on with it. I think it can be overwhelming for people who have a lot going on in their lives when they, you know.
But it does accomplish all those things that you talked about.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It segments it nicely into the folders and sections and stuff. Yeah.
I kind of see the Discord or us using a Discord. It wouldn't be Tribe 100X, be completely separate, of course, but using the Discord framework, if we didn't have our own internal one for the foundation, for foundation discussions, Block Unity Foundation that is really, what drives Vetter is the foundation. And once we get that more organized and structured, I could see that being really useful in the Discord. But thanks for all that, Cesar. I totally agree.
Cool. People are agreeing with Cesar. All right. Dawn, Vijay, and then Nico. And then I think that after that, we'll maybe wrap it up. Unless there's any further comments. Dawn?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Don.
Hey, appreciate you guys taking the time.
Hey, yeah, appreciate you being here.
Yeah, I absolutely love this project. I think it's brilliant. So one of the things that really hasn't been discussed so far, Vetter isn't for the new crypto user. Vetter's for the more intermediate to advanced crypto user. Once a beginning user crypto gets to Vetter, and let's say they buy in, they're not going to know what to do, what to buy, what not. And all these coins on Vetter, they're all going to have scams. So while I appreciate you guys trying to protect the investors of Vetter, I don't really think it's necessary. Most of the people who are using Vetter already know what to look for and what scams to watch out for. I know there was one gentleman earlier who talked about getting scammed, but I think it's few and far between for the people who actually hold Vetter and who are looking to invest in Vetter. So I think we should open the Telegram group back up.
So when we originally set out to design a framework for the marketing, we intended to, once we got to about where we are now, to focus on those that weren't familiar with DeFi and weren't intermediate. So they weren't necessarily used to all the scamming and all the stuff going on. And so when we saw, and we haven't really built that bridge or anything yet, but, and I think there's been some hesitancy because we saw so many people getting scammed. I originally thought what you did, that it really wasn't something we needed to address. And when people would bring it up, I would be like, that really sucks. Like, what can we do? Like, okay, we'll put in bot commands. We'll do what the things that you see these other teams do. But there was in one particular week, and then that led up to one particular day where, like, I don't know, Jeremy, you have a better idea. And I don't know if any of us know. But
yeah, I know the day you're talking of. I got a bunch of Vetter scams that all popped up.
It was incredible how many people got their Vetter scam. It's stolen from them. And even after all the bot commands and all the reminders and everything that we did, and there were sizable amounts too, like 70 BNB worth of Vetter and like 40 BNB of Vetter. And then they were just selling that on the open market. And so, it just was so massive, and it dropped the Vetter price pretty significantly that day. It was already getting all the selling pressure. So I actually feel like we do, because our intent, we're so intentional in trying to do a great job, honestly, which I don't see a lot of BSC projects doing. I'm not saying that none do, but it's pretty rare, right? It's pretty rare in this space to even 3 months after you launch to care about your project. That's a rarity.
Yeah, true.
And we did a lot of things that were pretty unusual that I think attract people that are newer to the space, that would even Robin's guidelines for removing the porn and the profanity and all the typical kind of juvenile type stuff that you see across a lot of these groups, a lot of the BSC space. We removed all of that, and I think it opened up a safety zone for people to come in and be here that ordinarily wouldn't feel comfortable in the space. And so I think we do, because of that, we have a higher percentage. It may still be a lot, not the majority by any means, but I do think we do have a higher percentage of people that are more susceptible to being scammed because we've done a lot of things to create a more let's just say a more mature
More
environment.
pure. Yeah, more.
What about sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, what about the possibility of this, leaving the current Vetter Telegram open and then reopening the main and having the current Telegram be by invite only with the proof of a Vetter purchase?
We're just talking a lot of admin, which is costly for the foundation. Ongoingly, to have to manage it sounds, then you're talking about someone overseeing the management of that.
Gotcha.
So
That's
there's reasons why that would be great, but why it wouldn't be great.
Not cost effective.
Yeah.
Okay. The only other thing I wanted to touch on is Red Eye's idea earlier of having a chat feature on the website or almost a Telegram inside the website. I love that idea. I know it's going to cost a little bit of money and we'll have to wait to Vetter to get to a higher point before we get into even thinking about that. But I think that's brilliant, especially from a business standpoint. People are going to want to buy Vetter just to get access into that area. I think it's genius. It's a great idea.
I like that. Yeah.
And are you referring to like a support chat? Or are you referring to like almost a Telegram group chat?
Yeah, almost like it was what Red Eye was talking about earlier in the session.
Yeah.
Just having something like that on the website that you have to own Vetter to get into. I mean, your handle could even be whatever you set up your user handle on Vetter as.
There was some comments, Mike, by the way, that I don't know if you noticed in the chat where somebody said, to build on that idea, maybe you have like a tier 4 feature be a place within the app where people can talk about projects there as opposed to talking about projects in the open Telegram group. I just want to throw that out there.
Right.
That's an idea as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because naturally it would open up if you're in tier 4 in the dApp. It would.
Don, do you share the concern that Christian had about, people maybe not feeling like they need to access the calendar if they're seeing a bunch of discussion about the projects in the open Telegram group here?
It's a possibility, but I mean, someone like myself, I'm going to personally want to see what's out there. I mean, I'll browse through that to get ideas and stuff like that, but I'm still going to use the calendar just as much to see what's out there.
Right. I would too. I know there'll be a percentage of people, probably those with the least amount of resources naturally, that might not take that next step. But I feel like the excitement and it would create more interest for a larger group, another group like ourselves who would want to take that next step.
Yeah. And one thing I've noticed with the chat is people are posting the links to the actual Vetter page. So you have to go there to see the information anyways. And there's so much useful information on there that you're not going to get by just seeing some coin's name in a chat.
Right. And that could be one of the guidelines, that if you're referencing a project that you posted or that someone posted on the calendar, that you always post a link to that project.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for the people who are going to free ride, I mean, they're going to try to do it anyways. If they see some coin that they see mentioned in the Vetter chat, they might go check it out. But I feel like the real use is actually being able to go onto Vetter and see what these people have vetted on it and see their thoughts, opinions, links, stuff like that. I think there's huge value to that information that people are going to want to pay for over just seeing something in chat and doing their own research.
Well, and I have an example of that.
Well, if we did create an internal location to discuss projects, and you had to be like at tier 4 or something, or maybe tier 3 to access it, would we then at that time need to just not allow the kind of discussion in a larger Telegram group? I mean, that it seems contradictory to have a free place for people to do that and then a place that people would buy Vetter to access it.
Yeah, but at the same point, anyone who's tier 3, tier 4 on the Better internal app is going to have access to that information already. Whereas the person who's seeing that information for free isn't going to have access to all the information that's in Better, that's been scouted and vetted.
So you're saying it's good for the people who don't have access to Vetter yet to see discussions about the Vetter calendar projects.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Get some thirsty, makes them want to buy.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, I have an example of
Yeah, go ahead.
one of our top investors came in with somebody was feeding him some projects from the Discord. He ended up joining the Discord after making some big wins, saying that after joining the Discord, he made even more wins, which then allowed him to come, to be excited to come into the dApp and be a top holder. So I feel like it is a tier system of like building trust and integrity, where it's like, if somebody is winning because they're like, oh my gosh, I won huge, they're going to want to come in and use it.
Yeah, definitely. A good example on that, I actually started a second wallet just for Better tokens, just so my brother could access the system. So I'm not saying a bunch of people are going to do that, but just an example of different ways it could be used.
Absolutely. Awesome, man. Thanks for your input. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We will go to Vijay and then Nico, and then I think closing sentiment. Go ahead, Vijay.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Vijay. Go ahead.
Welcome back from your vacation.
Yeah, thank you.
Namaste.
It was a well-deserved one for you guys.
Go
Can
ahead.
you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Yes, go ahead.
you.
Go ahead. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. It was much needed for sure for health reasons.
We'll send Mike back there again when he needs to go. When he needs.
I finally got some sun. I was able to stop taking my vitamin D supplements.
Good for you. Good for you. Okay, I really do not know if you really need Telegram. So I say so only because it is so scammy. But if we choose to have one or more channels for that matter, I think there is no way it could be managed or moderated manually alone. So my thought is to do some low-level moderation with automated bots, and high-level moderation should be manned, should be done manually.
Right.
So that is all I have to say.
Yeah,
Thanks for the time.
I agree with you. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Absolutely.
Yeah, the intention is to have, as George was saying, when he can, he'll come in and clean things up or clear up things. I'm the same way too. I mean, I can't sit there 24/7, but every time I go in, I do clean things up, and I always see something to clean up, and so I think it's just a matter of relying on the community for if you're there, when you're there, when possible, to just do what you can to keep it clean. Overall, that's just what the long-term game plan will be. And then what I see or envision over time is like with other projects that are DAO-based, community-based and community-driven, is, people care so much about the project that there's just enough people who are present and there to do that because they care. Not necessarily paid positions. So that's just something to consider. Nico?
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey, Nico. Yeah, go ahead. This will be the
What's
last
up, brother?
question. Yeah, this will be the last question.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, great to hear
Yeah,
from you,
good.
man.
Yeah, good to hear from you too. Glad you had a good trip. Well deserved, I'm sure. And I need one too. I haven't had a vacation in about 5 years, it seems like.
Well, I'm sending you away. Go.
Right. Well, first of all, I think when we had the main the main Telegram going and the live AMAs like constantly, right? That was exciting. That was great. People were so blown away by that. No one's seen that before ever in the space, where there was just someone always there to answer questions. And I know that's tiring and draining for those involved doing that. But that during those times is when you very rarely get any negativity or FUD in the chat, and when you do, it's immediately nipped in the bud, not only by a bot or a moderator that's watching the chat, but somebody verbally talking about what was just said or the question and squashing it. And so many people on the call defending, Vetter. It's very difficult for, I think, the Telegram group to get out of control in a negative way if there's nothing but positive things happening. And right now, I mean, the dApp is positive. All the scoring and everything's positive. Everything's positive except for maybe the price chart, which is actually positive as of the last couple of days. It's starting to go up a little bit. But that's what the original investors look at. They look at the price. And I know from a different point of view, because even back before Tribe 100 started, and I came in the beginning when you guys started Tribe 100X, and even before that, if you guys remember, back in the old Ethereum project days, we built a huge group, even separate inside of Versage and all that stuff. We built our own little group, and we had our own live calls and our own training. And the big problem that people were having is even when they had access to coins and tokens and launches, they didn't know what to do. And so we just started teaching people, and I created a group that teaches people how to do all that stuff separately. And that was way back then. And then when I realized, when I started seeing you guys' post about the Tribe 100X and the gains that people were getting with the pre-launches and the pre-sales, even though I was already a member and paying every month, I wasn't really paying much attention in there. And then I started paying attention, and then I started hearing about the calendar, and I'm like, well, where's this calendar? I'd rather be I see what's going on in the group, in the Discord, but like you were saying, Robin, it was for a new person in there, it's a little confusing, a little overwhelming. There's a lot of stuff going on. But if I just had a calendar where it was just showing what was being presented that day, or that week or that month, then it was just simple. It was very simple for me because we already knew how to get in on launches, but there was no real hands-on step-by-step training. So I think overall, what I'm trying to say is that you guys have a great service. Obviously, it's unbelievable. The problem is that the only problem is that you got to know how to do it. When you join Vetter and you buy the tokens and have access to the Vetter dApp, you still have to know how to set up a wallet, how to do all these things. And there's a lot of people that just still didn't know. And that's why they got scammed in the beginning, because they just didn't know what they were doing. And they didn't know how to check for scams. They didn't know that somebody else could post a different address, token address in a chat, or that they would even suspect that it wouldn't be the right one if it's in the right chat, right? It's just amazing how many people did get hurt, not in Vetter tokens, but just overall, in all these different tokens that are being launched. And so, we just started helping people in that way separately from that. But once I bring people up to the point of knowing what they're doing, they need your service. They need, or they need me to keep finding projects, but I can't find them. That's why you guys have hundreds of scouts and vetters in the Discord, which was awesome. And that whole process you have, I don't think it should be changed. I think what got you to this point should be scaled up, because I think that is what made it work all the way up to this point. The way you have the Discord, and the way people, once they heard about Discord, a lot AMAs.
So is Nico?
Your audio is cutting out. Nico, your audio, you're like.
Yeah, Nico, we heard you up into about 20 seconds ago, and now you've cut out.
Sounds like your Wi-Fi.
Yeah, go ahead. Can you hear me, Robin? Or is it just on Nico?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So Nico, we heard, I think we heard, everything you wanted to say. The only thing, so you mentioned people having trouble knowing how to use it, like particularly if they're new to all of this. You know, and that's what this,
Talking to join it.
can you hear me? Robin, are you able to mute Nico just so he can kind of see that we're not able to hear him?
Yeah. I think
Or I think he might have got kicked off.
he got kicked off his connection.
Right. So just to get this recorded, and Nico, if you're able to listen to the end of this, or anyone else that just wants to hear this response, Nico had mentioned people that are new to this process, not necessarily now they know where to find them, but they might not know, you know, how to do it. And that it's really DeFi stuff, right? Like just basic DeFi general training that people might be missing. And that's what this video vault's about. In fact, right before this meeting, we had a meeting, you know, talking about, you know, building that out, kind of a Netflix style design. So there can be a lot of, it can cover everything, like everything that comes up, everything that people might not know how to do. And as the industry evolves and advances, you know, we've always talked about this video vault, and that's what we're working on now. So that's going to address that part of it. And then the only other thing is, like, you know, it's just too cost prohibitive to have people, you know, 24/7, you know, on, you know, answering questions all the time. There's a number of reasons why that's really, really problematic. But one of them being the cost. So, you know, while it would be great just to have always somebody who basically is up to speed on everything, always there to answer any question, it's not very cost effective. It can be done, but I don't think it's a good use of our resources right now. If we start hitting exponential growth, we might bring that in again, but there are other issues with it that I don't want to get into now that are problematic. And it's the reason why you don't see that very often.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm actually.
Oh, did you make it back? Yeah, you got cut off
Yeah.
there somewhere towards the end. Yeah.
I was here the whole time, but for some reason you guys couldn't hear me, and then I don't know
Right.
what happened. But yeah, I was just a quick finish. What I was getting at is that I do agree with opening up the main chat, but I think that if the positive outweighs the negative, then the negative goes away. And really, the only negative that happens in the public chat, public Telegram, is just price. Price of chart. You know that the chart. If the chart is in the right, if the marketing has started, and maybe you want to wait till marketing starts, but if the marketing started and people are buying into the dApp and the price is starting to go up, there's really nothing that you can complain about with Vetter. There's nothing at all really at that point. Even the people that are just there for price action and they're not even there using the dApp.
We just have to, we absolutely, but we have to remember that that there are projects where that is what keeps people there, and those projects always fail. And then there's projects that even when the price is going down, it's not any indication the project's going to fail. And that's what we want to become. And that's what this whole transition's been about, transitioning from a brand new project that, like almost every other that launches, will fail if it doesn't go up in price all the time, to transition from that, which is impossible, to the kind of project that, you know, people are very excited about it even when it's going down. And that's the project that we have to become in order to be successful, because no project will go up all the time. It was so funny when you had people saying, just turn on marketing, just turn on marketing. It's like, if the price stops going up, and there's a huge number of people that are extremely unhappy about that, and that's a failing project if you can't transition out of that, because you can't grow all the time. Otherwise we'd be a multi-gazillion dollar market cap. It's impossible. It just is. There's no project that's done it, nor will there ever be. So we have to transition from that common losing mindset project of, it's only successful it's going up, and become a project that's successful when it's going up and successful when it's going down, because that's what every successful lasting project does. It goes down too.
Yeah, no, you're totally right there. It's just that the people who actually use the dApp and actually are in it for the reason of being able to scout, find, and bet, and get into pre-launches and new up-and-coming launches, they're not the sellers, and they might outweigh the sellers.
Absolutely. And that's just it. So we've been transitioning from a hype coin, we never wanted to be a hype coin, but it's impossible to launch and introduce yourself with and have any fanfare at all, or have anyone know who you are at all without an element of that, of attracting that crowd. But we had to transition from hype coin to sustainable coin, so we can really go the distance with this. So yeah, absolutely. But thanks for your input.
I know you know what you're doing, man. I we go way back, and I've never doubted your intelligence. I know you think you're a regular guy, and you're just but you're a genius when it comes to a lot of stuff. So I appreciate you letting everybody bounce ideas off you. And Caesar had some great ideas. I agree with him. I think it should be open, just monitored, and then and just go forward, fix things as they break.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate the feedback. Jeremy, you've been kind of quiet throughout this, just listening as you often do, which is one of your great attributes. But you're also phenomenal at kind of summarizing a lot of information that's been, filtering through. I'll just, to make it simpler, I'll just pose this as a question and let you kind of close this out. So far, it sounds like, a pretty high majority wants to open it up. Obviously, there's a lot of concern and interest around making sure the guidelines are clear. There's been a lot of discussion about automating a lot of the moderation as much as possible, because it would be impossible to be manually moderated fully, but then where needed, there could be manual moderation. And there's been a lot of other great things that have been discussed that I won't recap. But my question to you is, well, first of all, any additional thoughts that you have, or anything that you think deserves being highlighted as we close this out that I didn't mention? But also a question, do we put this to a vote to the community? Do we do this do we let people who couldn't attend live listen to the replay, and then maybe have like a Robert's Rules type vote? Do you have any thoughts on that? Or, maybe that's something we decide over the next couple of days about how to formalize that. But, it sounds like an overwhelming interest so far in opening it up. But I just wonder if there's a process that we should respect to make sure that everyone's felt that they were able to weigh in some way on this.
Yeah, I'd say that for the most part, everybody was pretty positive about it's a good idea to, at least for now, open up the Telegram group. I think we have the ability to, if things just go crazy, we could shut it back down. But I don't know that we need any formalized vote or anything. I think that this forum, it was open to everybody. Anybody could be here. I don't think we need a formal vote or anything like that. I think the people who mentioned that they thought it should not be turned on, had valid reasons for their concerns. The only question I think that remains is timing. When would we open this up? Do we open it now? Do we wait for a couple of these things that were mentioned? Somebody said maybe we wait until after the
big events,
royalty rewards, or some of these big events. Maybe we wait until we have a chance to talk to voters and get a little bit of feedback on, do we have efficacy in the voting process yet? So I think that's the only question that kind of remains. It's that we do open the general Telegram, that we do work towards some other possibilities, like chats within the app, maybe a better Discord. There's some ideas that we're throwing out there, but I do think that we're heading towards the opening of the Telegram. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, I'd like some standards at the top, and to change the name probably, if we all agree to do that, and like open forum, better open forum, official open forum, and then like a standards, practices, like purpose, intent, and then working on some bot commands that are available for everybody to see that can be utilized. I wouldn't want those bot commands being abused by scammers, so probably would have to allow for like muting So yeah, I think we need to just discuss the parameters of how, but we can do that fairly quickly.
Well, thank you everybody for your input today and for committing so much of your time to making Vetter better. I mean, that's what this is all about. And we think we've got huge opportunity in front of us, and you wouldn't be here if you didn't agree. And we appreciate you guys sharing your time and sharing your input. Lots of incredibly helpful input today. As Robin said there is a little bit of working out some details, and we'll continue to get feedback from the community. We have a meeting with the all-star voters tomorrow, those that bring efficacy to voting, and we might get more of their feedback. We have all kinds of events. In fact, you know, if you did miss it, if you joined late, or if you're catching this replay, check the pin code post and any of the social media locations, and you'll find all kinds of events. So this might, you know, we might give some updates throughout where we're at with this, but it sounds like there's a almost unanimous agreement to open it up. So we'll be doing that, just a matter of when, and we'll keep you posted. And I think it, you know, I don't see why it wouldn't be this month, but we need the bot commands and the guidelines and the structure and everything in place. And then we'll open it up. So again, thanks everybody. Really appreciate it. And for those that can attend any of the other events, we'll see you here soon in one of these upcoming sessions. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.